Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back, Electrified Rider here. Today I wanted to discuss a topic that I feel could help a lot of riders out there, especially folks new to the EUC world. Maybe you just picked up an EUC and you're learning to ride for the first time, or you've been riding for a month or two, and you're looking for ways to improve your overall ride experience. Well, there are two really important things to consider when trying to dial in your wheel, because everything's custom to what's going to feel best for you, and it's going to be different for everybody. But the two most important things really are going to be your foot placement and your power pad selection. Today I'm out riding on the Veteran Sherman S, and I've just recently made some upgrades, some changes to this wheel, which have really impacted the overall ride feel for the better, which is what gave me this video idea. So you can see I'm sporting the Power Knobs power pads. I do have half of a Grizzly brake pad on the back, and I also got the E-Rides pedals installed. Now right out the box, I can tell you the Sherman S feels wonderful, and you really don't have to do any upgrades to get riding right away. But if you do want to further customize your wheel and give yourself the best ride experience, then I highly recommend finding what's going to work best for your situation in terms of some of the aftermarket power pads as well as EUC pedals that are out there. So let's start out first by talking about foot placement. Now, at first appearance, and most people are probably going to assume that a lot of us riders have our feet equally centered on the wheel, on the pedals, and I find that to not be accurate, at least for myself. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me in the comment section how you have your feet positioned on your pedals, but I've got a pretty exaggerated offset or stagger to the way my feet are on the pedals, and I'm using more of a heel to toe acceleration and braking technique, which really helps with stabilization on a wheel. Now think of it like this. If you've got your feet centered equally on either side of the wheel, you're going to have a lot more tipsiness going on than if your feet are slightly staggered. And the staggered position usually looks like this. Your dominant foot, the foot that if somebody was to push you forward and you're standing still, whatever foot goes forward, that's your dominant foot. That dominant foot is going to be slightly behind, and the non-dominant foot is going to be slightly forward. And in my case, you can see just how aggressive my offset is when you look at my pads when the wheel is just sitting there. So as you can see, I've got the left power pads quite a bit more forward than the pads on the right. And also the brake pads are offset. But when I'm riding the wheel, I'm getting equal pressure on both sides because of the way I have my feet staggered. But if you got everything dialed in well, then you should feel really stable when mounting the wheel and taking off. You shouldn't feel wobbly or off balance. Now, it took me a while to get to this point. It was more of a slow and gradual fine-tuning, because as you continue to ride, a lot of things are going to change about your overall ride style, and that's going to impact your pad placement. For example, when I first started riding, I was riding with my wheel in the neutral position, no forward tilt. Then I went to -1 on the wheel tilt, and then went to -2, stayed there for a real long time. Currently, I'm riding my Veteran Sherman S with a -3 on the pedal tilt angle. And every time I've changed the degrees in which my pedals are tilting, I've also needed to make slight adjustments to my power pads and my brake pads. But I think most people who first hop on an EUC for the first time are probably going to want the wheel in a more neutral position, just to get more comfortable until they get adjusted. And then more than likely, once you get comfortable and you're looking for some more acceleration, you're then going to go to more of a negative forward tilt angle with those pedals. Now, I'm often making slight micro adjustments to my feet as well when I'm riding. When I'm making a sharp left turn, let's say, sometimes I swing my toe out on my inside foot a little bit, and then I recorrect when I straighten out. And it's just very small adjustments, but it really helps with stability. I would say the footwear that you utilize in riding an EUC is also very important. I'm using a motorcycle high top shoe right now. I've used actual motorcycle boots, and whenever I do change footwear, go from a boot to a high top shoe, once again I got to make little micro adjustments to the power pads to accommodate that. Now your pedal dihedral angle, that's the angle amount in which your pedal tilts up towards the wheel, is also very important to get dialed in. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can check out this video I just made on that topic, but that's all part of the same thing. You're going to want to really dial in the angle of your pedal to fit your ride style, your situation. Now let's talk about power pads. Oh boy, power pads are going to make a huge difference in how you experience your wheel, the overall stability that you get on your wheel. Getting some beeps on the Sherman. This wheel can zip very nicely. Still loving the Sherman S, my friends. So like I said the other day, I switched over from a Grizzly power pad setup to the power knobs because that's what I've been riding on my other wheels. And now that I've accommodated my ride style using the power knobs, it's hard to go back to anything else. The freedom of movement and the overall control that I gain utilizing the power knobs power pads is huge. Now I will say this, when I first started riding, having more connection to the wheel using, the more traditional power pad setup where your shins are in contact with the pads, which are in contact with the wheel, that gave me some comfort, that gave me some confidence. I don't know if I would have had that same feeling if I had started off with these pads right off the bat, but I believe that regardless of your setup initially, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure out how to ride the wheel as long as you stick to it. But as you begin to improve, it's going to be those little micro adjustments that you make to your power pads, your pedals, your foot placement that are going to have the greatest impact on your evolution, on your EUC journey. I've rotated between different types of power pads on the market today, and all of them, for the most part, they've all been great, but when I switched over to the power knobs, all of a sudden it was like my ride experience and my skill sets started to improve immediately. And I think one of the main reasons the power knobs made such a dramatic effect to my overall ride experience is because by having less contact with the pads and really just using my feet more as the balancing mechanism, it's truly given me greater stability. Any contact that you have with the front power pads or the brake pad on the back, if you don't have equally applied pressure, then you're going to feel the wobbles coming on. You're going to feel a bit unsteady, and that's not a good feeling on an EUC, especially when you're going, at a higher rate of speed. and especially your brake pads. If you get equally applied pressure on the brakes when you lean back, you're going to increase stability dramatically, versus if you've got a little bit of imbalance there, it really can create that speed wobble situation, which isn't the end of the world. If you get more accustomed to the wheel, you develop different muscle memory throughout your legs, your ankles, your feet, then you're going to be able to negate the wobbles when they start to come on. Yeah, it's good stability braking, especially being that my left foot is so far off the front pedal, you see, and having a -3 on the pedal tilt angle. But those brake pads being set where they are, I'll show you from the back here. It's a nice equal applied pressure. So yeah, you get things properly dialed in, my friends, and it makes the biggest difference. I'm a big fan now of just taking that extra time to get things dialed into my liking. And what I did the other day is I'd go around the block, stop, make some slight adjustments to my pads, give it another loop, make some more adjustments. I was at it for about a half an hour, but I finally got it where it was just feeling so great. Actually the best ride feel and experience since the very beginning. Customizing the wheel to get the best ride experience, the most stability, which helps to boost confidence and just keeps you safe on the wheel, keeps you having a good time, lessens foot fatigue. Now, every time after I make adjustments, what I like to do is accelerate forward and then brake. And accelerate forward and brake. And I may need to then shift my feet around a little bit, but then really give it a go. Well, it's shaping up to be a beautiful day out. You know you're dialed in with the foot placement if when you're standing straight up and going basically in a straight line, everything feels nice and stable. So as far as upgrades go on the wheel, I give my big approval to E-Ride's pedals as well as the Power Knobs power pads. I've been missing the range of the Sherman S. The faster wheels are a blast, but it's a short-lived ride session. I've been cycling between several wheels in a day many times just to get my riding fix in. But the Sherman S does give me quite a bit more range, although that range has decreased since I've developed a more aggressive ride style. So whereas I used to be able to get 50, 60 miles on a charge, I'm looking more at like maybe 40. Whenever you torque that wheel forward, you're going to be using a lot of batteries. You're going to drain a lot quicker. More gradual acceleration is going to give you a lot longer battery life, even if you are hitting higher speeds. But I like to lean into it and get going